Hey there, welcome back to CMTEQ channel. So if you've ever wondered how electrical power that is generated in a power plant, as you can see here, is delivered along a transmission line through transmission substation up to your industrial park or your residential area, well, in this tutorial we're going to cover a typical power system transmission line problem for electrical engineers and power system engineers, and also for anyone who is very curious about how power is transmitted. So stay tuned as we discover how to solve this transmission line problem. So we've got a system here where there is 132 kilovolt at 50 hertz, okay, that is transmitted across this line. Now, just a background story here. This is a power system station, okay, so it's a coal-fired power plant. You've got your coal here, okay, it's being loaded into the conveyor belt, which then transport this coal into the boiler, where it is combusted to produce high pressure steam. Okay, now this steam drives the turbine connected to an alternator or the generator as we know them, okay, maintaining the generator's terminal voltage through excitation control. So that's basically what is happening inside this coal-fired power plant. Then at the generator output here, now we're not producing 132 kilovolt. No. We are producing somewhere around 18, okay, to 20 kilovolt. Now this is depending on the type of generator they are using inside there, okay. Then this voltage is then step up, okay, for the transmission line, okay. And then when it get here at a transmission substation or your local substation, these 132 kilovolt is then stepped down to 66 kilovolts. So you're going to have from 132 it drops down to 66, then from 66 it will drop down to 33, then from 33 you're going to drop it again to 11 kilovolt. Then this 11 kilovolt will then be taken somewhere in the somewhere here onto the pole mount transformers that will produce something along a 400 volt line to line, basically for your residential three-phase systems, or it will be taken directly into industrial park where some big machinery will be using this high voltage. So that's basically what is happening here. But now in this problem here, we're going to be talking about what is happening along this transmission line to actually maintain the 132 kilovolt that we're seeing here at this substation here before it's taken into different voltage level. So they're basically saying it is a three-phase transmission line, as you can see here, and it is 80 kilometer long, okay. It supplies 45 megawatt of power. Where is the 45 megawatt of power is being consumed? It's being consumed here at the load at a power factor of 0.8, okay. Then we've got some line parameters. Now this is where the story is going to get very interesting for us. So the values of inductance and capacitance per kilometers are 1.25 millihenry and 0.0094 microfarad. The total power loss in the line is 5% of the delivered power. So that basically means out of this 45 megawatt, there is 5% that is dropping through this line due to the power loss across the resistance of the line. So we now need to try to calculate the voltage at the sending end. Okay, now the voltage at the sending end we're going to be calculating, it's not the generator output voltage, it is a generator here at the other side of the transformer, basically the stepped up voltage. That's the voltage we need to calculate, and the current at the sending end. And we can also calculate the power factor at the sending end. We know that the power factor here at the receiving end at the load is about 0.8, but what is the power factor here based on what we are seeing here? So that's basically in a nutshell what this problem is all about. Now without any further ado, let's get started. And if you find this tutorial useful, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to CMTEQ channel. Great stuff. Now we're going to solve this step by step. So the first step is to calculate the line parameters. Now we know the inductance has been given to us and the system is running at 50 Hertz frequency, so we can easily find the inductive reactance, which is now going to be 2 pi FL, and that is 0.39 ohm per kilometers. Now we need to find the resistance of the line. Now since the power loss have been given to us as 5%, we can find the resistance by using the power loss formula, which is the square of the current times the resistance. Okay, and that's basically equal to P loss is equal to 3 times I square R total. Now the 3, because this is a 3-phase system. Great stuff. Making R total the subject of the formula, we can then determine the resistance in this fashion. Now we need to find the current here to compute this resistance, and this is the load current or receiving end current of your transmission line. And we can calculate this current by simply manipulating the formula of the power, which is then going to give us IL is PR over square root of 3 times VR cos theta. And this basically will give us a current of 246.03 with this angle, which is basically a lagging power factor of 0.8 that gives us this angle. Continuing, we can then get our total to be 12.4 ohm. So this is a total resistance for this line. Okay, then we can divide it to get the resistance per kilometers simply by dividing it by 80. Now we can compute the total impedance of this system by simply adding the resistance plus the reactance to basically get the impedance, and we can multiply by 80. So this is basically here, this is the impedance obviously per phase per kilometer, and over here is the impedance per phase for the entire 80 kilometers of the line. By the way, if you find this useful, don't forget to thumbs up and share it to your social media network. Great stuff. Now next, because we need to calculate this using the T method here, so now we've got the impedance of the line, we need to find the shunt capacitance, basically the shunt admittance, so that we can configure our T method. So to do that, we calculate the shunt admittance or the capacitive susceptance per kilometer, which is given by BC is equal to 2 pi FC. Okay, now we know what the capacitor here is. It's 0.094 microfarad. So simply replacing in here, we find susceptance per kilometer of 2.95 10 to the power negative 6. Now this is very important for our system, and this basically gives us a total admittance for the 80 kilometer line of 0.00326 SJ. So this is our admittance for this entire transmission line. Now, before we can continue, we need to configure the T method model here. Okay, so to do that, we need to plot in all the parameters that we've calculated so far for our transmission line. In the T model of a transmission line, as you can see here, the total series impedance that we've calculated here is basically divided equally, okay, between the two sides, and then we have the shunt capacitance or shunt admittance is now placed at the center of the line. Okay, and also here you're going to have your phase voltage of the receiving end, because the parameters that will be working out will be the phase parameter. So we have to use either the phase voltage or phase current depending on the system that you are working. Please bear in mind that this is a 3-phase star connected system. Okay, it wasn't mentioned in the problem statement, but it is a star connected system. So which then mean our phase voltage here is 132 kilovolt divided by the square root of 3, so that's about 76.2 kilovolt, and the impedance divided by 2, that's basically 6.2 plus 15.72 J. So this basically means here you've got 6.2 ohm and here you've got about 15.72J, and the same thing is here, 6.2 and 15.72J. Okay, so that's the resistance, that's a inductive reactance, and this is the shunt admittance that we've calculated, so it's gonna be about 0.0000236 S, and you're going to have J there. Okay, so that's basically what we have for our transmission line here. Now we can go ahead the next step, which is step 3, to calculate the voltage and current across the shunt capacitance, okay, across the shunt admittance. So to compute this voltage, you can basically compute your KVL, Kirchhoff voltage law here to find that voltage, but we're not going to go through that. We know that this voltage is equal to this voltage plus a voltage drop here, so which means the voltage across our shunt capacitance is going to be VC phase equal to VR phase plus VZ2, and VZ2 is basically this voltage that's dropping here across the one leg of the series impedance, okay, and VZ2 is IL times Z2. Since IL here, it is the same current that flowing in there, and we can basically compute VZ2, and that is equal to 4.16 kilovolt with an angle of 31.6, and we can go ahead and add with 76.2 to get our VC per phase, the voltage across a shunt capacitance, and that is basically equal to 79.77 kilovolt. Now we're moving on to calculate the current through the same shunt capacitance. Now this current is very important because this current here is what's going to help us to find the sending end current, because we know that it cannot be the same current, because as this current is flowing through here, some current is flowing through the shunt admittance and the rest of the current is going through the load here. So we need to find this current so that we can add it to this current to basically find the sending end current. So to find the current through the shunt admittance, we need to find the admittance. Basically, we need to find the reactance, the impedance across these of the shunt admittance. So we're going to find the admittance. First, we know that the admittance of this current IY, it is equal to VC phase divided by XC. But we know that the Y total was calculated there for 80 kilometer, and that is equal to this value here. Okay, so we need to convert that to the capacitive reactance, and that is basically the inverse of the admittance. Okay, so that is XC is equal to 1 over Y, which is 1 over 0.00236, and that's basically give us this value. Okay, so this is 4.28 with negative 90-degree kilo ohm, because it's a purely capacitive. Okay, great stuff. Then we can proceed to now calculate the current, since we now know what's the capacitive reactance that enable that current. So that IY is basically 79.77 divided by 428, and that gives us this current here of 18.64 amp with an angle of 91.56. Great stuff. Now we can go ahead and add these two current to calculate the sending end current, basically by adding this current that we just found plus this current to find this current. Okay, and that will basically be the first current, the IR. Remember, we calculated it to be 246.03, and the second current we just calculated is 18.64. Adding these two current, we get a current of 234.9 with an angle of negative 33.3 degree amp. We're getting closer to calculating the voltage at the sending end. Okay, since we now know that the voltage at the sending end is basically the voltage at the receiving end plus the voltage drop. Okay, according to the sending end here, we're not seeing the voltage at the receiving end. We're basically seeing this voltage here. Okay, so which means to find this voltage, we must just add this voltage plus this voltage, because this voltage already take account of this voltage drop. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to do. So the voltage at the sending end is basically V send is equal to VC plus VZ1, and this here is VZ1. Great stuff. Okay, and VZ1 is IS times Z1. We already calculated IS. We can basically get VZ1, which is 234.9 with an angle of negative 33 times 16.9 with an angle of 68.4, which is our impedance here converted in polar form, basically Z1. Then we can move on to basically add. After finding VZ1 is equal to 3.9 kilovolt, we can get V sending, that's basically 79.7 plus 3.97, and that gives us a sending end voltage per phase of 83.1 kilovolt. So there is 83.1 kilovolt here, and there is 76.2 kilovolt here. Okay, so this is a receiving end, that's a sending end. The rest, you know where it's going. It's a voltage drop across this entire transmission line. Okay, that is where we basically dropping just under 10 kilovolt is dropping across this transmission line. Now moving on, the sending end line is 143.9 kilovolt. Now if you compare the 143.9 kilovolt to the 132 kilovolt or at the receiving end, you're going to see there is about 11 kilovolt that is dropping across the transmission line. And the last step is to calculate the power factor at the sending end. So now to calculate the power factor at the sending end, we basically need to subtract the sending end voltage angle minus the sending end current angle. Okay, and that basically means the theta V send minus the theta I send, so that is 3,07 degree minus 33.3 degrees, so that gives you about 36.37 degree. And when you get this angle here, you can basically get the cos of 36.37, and that will basically give you 0.8 power factor lagging. So that is basically how you can compute this type of transmission problem. It's been quite a long problem, but if you understand this methodology, how to solve this problem, any practical type of transmission line issues you may face while erecting a new transmission line or running in through a power system analysis, you're going to be finding it very easy, since you already understand the basic fundamental of how these problems are solved. So if you find this useful, please don't forget to share it and give it a thumbs up. That will be highly appreciated. Until next time, cheers.